What's going on, guys? It's New York Prepper here, back with another Overlooked Preps video. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about the importance of buying yourself activated charcoal. Here I just have some marine grade activated carbon. These are really cheap. You know, you can buy a container like this for a few bucks. And this is obviously for fish tanks and stuff like that. If you guys don't know what activated charcoal looks like in its natural form, it's just like a black gravel type material. And there's a lot of things you can do with activated carbon. First of all, you can actually eat this. If someone in your family accidentally gets poisoned, let's say you eat some kind of chemical, or your child eats a chemical by accident, or somehow you ingest some type of a poison, you can actually take a teaspoon of this, crunch it up, and eat it. And what that will do is that will the poison will actually get adsorbed on the surface of this activated charcoal, and then your body you'll just poop it out, and you'll poop out the activated carbon with the poison itself attached to the activated carbon. So if you guys don't know how activated carbon works, and the reason why it's put in fish tanks is because activated carbon on the outside of it, if you look at one of these little pieces here, on the outside of the carbon you have, like, it's porous. The outside of the carbon is porous. So if there's any kind of contaminants or contamination, they're gonna get stuck onto the outside, the surface of the activated charcoal. All right, so activated charcoal is used in a lot of things. It's used in gas mask filters, actually. So like any kind of military grade gas mask, they put activated carbon inside of it. A lot of chemical and biological suits have activated carbon in it to absorb toxins that may pass through the material, and there's a layer of activated charcoal underneath the actual cloth. Whatever, clothing you have, that's, let's say you have like a chemical suit or biological suit, a lot of them put activated charcoal in it to absorb the contaminants in case they pass through the cloth itself. And then also, if you overdose on some kind of a drug, or you go to a poison center, let's say you poison yourself and you go to a hospital, they actually give you activated charcoal. They make you eat activated charcoal to absorb the poison and then poop it out. So this way you can pass the poop, pass the carbon out of your body, and the carbon will have the poison attached to it, like I mentioned. So it's a very useful thing to get. And they use these in fish tanks because what happens is the carbon in the filter, if you ever had a fish tank when you were a kid, the water passes over the carbon. You put the carbon in the water filter, and the water passes over the carbon. And if there's any, from the waste, when, fish, they poop, and the poop builds up inside the fish tank in the water, and the water circulates over the carbon, and the carbon will trap any toxic molecules, on the surface of the carbon. And this carbon will actually work for a long time. You don't have to change it that often. Like if you have a fish tank, you can put this in your water filter for a few months, and it'll still be effective. So you can use this also for, like I said, you could use it for if you have to decontaminate yourself. If, let's say, you ingested some kind of poison, or somebody in your family ingested a poison, you can use this to get it out of the body. So so your body doesn't absorb the poison. The carbon will absorb it, and then you poop it out. You just have to make sure you give it to them right away as soon as they realize that they've been poisoned. The sooner the better, before it gets absorbed into the bloodstream, obviously. You can also use this for water filtration. Let's say you have to get water from a questionable water source and it's an SHTF situation. Let's say you have to get water from like a local stream or a local pond or lake or river, and you don't know if there's contaminants in the water. You may boil the water, or you may treat it with some type of a chemical to kill the pathogens inside, but there still could be chemicals in the water, especially if it's an urban water source or the water source is close to a roadway where there could be runoff from the road into the water source. You never know if there's some type of industrial activity in the area, or old industries that closed down and they may have contaminated the water supply. So what you could do is you could run your water through some carbon first before you treat it, for pathogens. So I actually keep some of this in my bug out bag. What I do is I have a little waterproof match bottle. I've shown it on my bug out bag video, but what I have is a little one of those UCO stormproof match bottles, the orange ones that you keep matches inside, that has the stormproof matches in them. And I have an empty one, and I put some of this in there. And what I do is I keep that in my survival kit in case if I come across a questionable water source. Let's say if I'm bugging out or I'm in a survival situation and I need water and it's questionable, if it may not have like man-made contaminants in it, what I'll do is I'll take the carbon and I'll put it on a bandana. I'll put some of it in a bandana, and then I'll run the questionable water over the bandana with the carbon inside of it, and then it'll filter out any pollutants that are in the water, whether it's petroleums, heavy metals, pesticides, fertilizers, any other type of pollution. It should grab most of it. It's probably not 100% foolproof method, but it will reduce a lot of the pollution just by doing that. So the way that I would do that is I would just simply, let's say I have my canteen. If this is my canteen here, what I would do is I would just take a bandana, put the bandana over the opening of the canteen, make like a little cup in the bandana and fill it with the carbon here, and then take your canteen cup. If you have a canteen cup, you pour it over the carbon, and it'll filter everything out before it goes into your canteen. And then you can take your canteen and you can boil it, you can treat it with chlorine or iodine or whatever you want to do. You can filter it, but that's a huge survival thing that you should have, is some activated carbon. It's a very good thing to have. And then also, aside from treating water and treating any kind of poisons that you may have, you can also use it for improvised gas mask. If you're in a situation where you're dealing with a chemical warfare agent or some type of biological warfare agent, you can take this and you can crush it up, and you could put it into a bandana and you could put it over your face, and that could potentially save your life, or at least it will help to remove a lot of the chemicals from, before you breathe it in. So you can use it to make improvised gas mask filter if you had to. It's obviously not the best case scenario, but you could use it for that. So get yourself some activated carbon. It's a very useful thing. So it's often overlooked. So just wanted to share this with you guys. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, actually. Just didn't get a chance to do it. So take care, God bless, and remember the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.